Hey everybody, this is Brandon from Save the Game Media. I'm covering another beautiful new indie game. This one just came out a few days ago, and I was lucky enough to get a key just before it was able to release. So I was able to put a little bit of time into this. As you can see on screen, I'm on my skill tree. This is their little play on words of a skill tree. Every fight that you do, instead of gaining experience, you'll be earning keys. Those keys can be used on each one of these little tiles that I'm scrolling through to show you how much they cost and what they're going to do to improve your character. For this particular playthrough, I started off on medium difficulty, but I really needed to drop it down to easy because there was an issue with timing on the parry mechanics. I'm going to get really into that to show you guys how in-depth and how much you really need to pay attention to this RPG. In the true vein of a beautiful JRPG, this gives us some Final Fantasy VIII vibes with the trigger system for Squall, but also gives us a small tactical grid, similar to Enchanted Arms, less than the gigantic grids that you'll see on Fire Emblem, on Final Fantasy Tactics, or any of those larger full-scale style games. So this one kind of gives you a little bit better representation of a small area where you're fighting enemies that are constantly going to be blocking, parrying, and pulling in new enemies just so you can fight. So I wanted to get off, I started on medium, shifted to easy for a little bit of a difficulty problem. But I started with the samurai fighting style. There are 4 fighting styles you can choose from in the beginning. Juggernaut, Samurai, Hacker, and I believe the last one is just evading my knowledge, and I don't understand why. Combat's pretty simple, but it has a full trigger effect, just like I said from Final Fantasy VIII. Every attack, giving and receiving. So if you're dealing out damage, you're going to be using this little white parry box to do more damage. And when you're defending, you're going to be parrying back so that you take no damage. So you can essentially play through this entire game without taking a single hit of damage if you're really good at this parry system. Instead of having magic, this game uses electricity, because the whole basis of the game is you're in a futuristic post-apocalyptic society where music is outlawed. So you want to use your music to go against the fascist regime that wants you to keep music down. So a lot of them are deeming you as unproductive or illegal because you just want to play music and enjoy yourselves. So I'm going to show you a little bit of gameplay on here once I get my controller back and booted up. So we have the skill tree, we have hardware. Hardware is going to be your item system. You can see right now that I'm using a guitar and a recurve bow. Or I could switch over to the recurve bow. The bow will do direct straight line of damage, and you'll see here that you're going to have range. Cleave gives you a up, down, and straight. So you're going to cleave in a 3-point arc, whereas line is going to do about 3 points in front of you. Average cooldown for the abilities, and slow on that, but look at this damage. 82 to 101 versus 21 to 79. I'm not swapping that out. The scimitar is what we get a little early in the game for how we have the samurai fighting style. It's a gift from one of the characters named Senpai. She is a romanceable NPC later on in the game. I took a look at some of the trophies that are in it, and it looks like you can romance some of the characters. So if you're into that and you want to add that into this as a part of a must-play, go ahead. I don't really care much about that aspect because I'm more into the RPG and the fighting aspect. You start with the vintage Shamshir. This is going to be a defensive weapon, specifically as a counterattack charge weapon. And I get a violin to do a little bit of extra so I can generate some electricity right away. So right now you're going to see a nice sandy dune. This is more like the third area in the game. It kind of opens up a little bit, but it's very linear as to where you're going, similar to how Final Fantasy X or Final Fantasy 13 kind of felt. Downloaded items are going to be your consumables. Macross is the currency, so you can save just under $500 in the game. And this is also going to be where your alternative weapons are. Clocks to slow down, gunpowder, donuts are good. Excuse me. Donuts are just going to increase your abilities so that you can just keep hitting harder and keep going. I've already done the work to find these 4 particular people. that opens up a small gateway to get us to further into the desert. And here I'm going to turn on some audio so that we can listen to what's going on with this cutscene. So throughout the game, just like with any RPG, you're going to get quests from NPCs to find specific items, to do kill specific enemies, and fight things like the Vulture Lord. And I believe I did bring him the dry bones because we bought it earlier in the game. And this is going to give us a somewhat secret boss fight. Which, let's see what this does and what the audio is. So that trophy is the Path of the Samurai. Each of the specific disciplines you take are going to give you a trophy associated with that. So we just found 12 keys, which is going to be used for our skill tree. And we can see what we can buy with those. You can see I currently have 25 keys, so we can unlock and upgrade some of these. I can't go this far because you're going to need a whopping 48, and it's going to continue to jump and go higher as you go down the skill tree. So right now, I'm just going to do it on this guy right here. Acoustic Moves Reload Skill Programs. So acoustics going to be skin instruments like I showed you when we have in our hardware, specifically for the violin. Faster reload, better quality, and you're going to get more energy out of it. Couple things I want to touch on with combat once we actually get to it. I believe this is going to be our first major boss, minus the third eye. But once we go into combat, you can essentially never get kicked out. If you lose, you get the immediate option to restart the fight, but don't choose give up, because that brings you all the way back to your last save. I lost a couple hours of playtime because I chose give up, and it put me right back at the beginning of the game. But I will say the game is fun. Like I said, has a bunch of good traditional JRPG elements, especially with walking around, going through here, and then seeing what we can do with getting into an actual fight so I can show everyone just a beautiful way that this small tactics RPG works. Well, let's listen to a little bit more of that audio. You're going to see that there are a plethora of NPCs, and they're all quite colorful and unique. Let's see if this gives us our big fight right now. So as you can see, here is our small tactical grid, and what this enemy is going to try to do. we can either choose to move or attack, just like with any traditional RPG. And if we move, it's going to generate electricity points right away, so we can see what's going on. Now that just gave me the chance to counter or to parry, and we're going to choose this item here. You can see I missed on that. I took some static damage, and that's going to put me a little bit down. But we're going to try to attack him, and the white flash is what we're trying to hit the X on, just like I did with that counter, so I can take no damage from it. The problem here is now he's summoning others to fight with him. That was another late counter for me, so I take extra damage, unfortunately. But we're going to try to take him out with a perfect. Another perfect on that, so that's specifically how you're going to be doing a lot of your attacks. You want to hit these perfects so you don't take any damage like you're seeing. And that allows us to burst out this katana and hit him with everything we have. So not only did we take a counter, we also hit him with one of our hardest attacks. And that's not going to do anything because I didn't change directions. But eventually, he killed himself with his own self-damage. That's a simple example of how this fighting system works in this game. It is a little buggy, or the timing is a little off. And that's all personal preference. Since it is based on music, a lot of this is going to be basing itself on timing. You saw a little green bar show up. There's not just the white box that shows up around your silhouette to do a counter or an attack. Sometimes you'll have to input directional buttons. You'll have to hit a line specifically in the center. But that's all dependent on what types of attacks the enemies are doing. Buffs, debuffs, area attacks, area denials, counterattacks, all your traditional RPG stuff. So I do want to say, showing from this, there are 4 different endings to the game, and they coincide with your choices throughout. You can do 4 playthroughs of this, just so you can get all 4 formats, all 4 endings, and play the way that you want to play. There's no real trophy on difficulty, so that's going to help out a lot of trophy hunters if you want to just pop it on easy and go through it 4 times, just learn the game, go through what you need to do out your quests. Other than that, I'm glad this indie took a risk in increasing visual engagement with the parry system, because now it's keeping your eyes glued to the screen to take in the dev choices of this beautiful neon world, the color palettes, the audio that's all just engaging to the ears, the sounds, everything that you're able to do. From just hearing the guitar slam into the ground, or that nice from the katana coming out. I am going to give this game an overall score of a 6 out of 10. And it's just because the parry system is so dominant in how this game functions. A lot of games, like Dark Souls, will use the parry system, but you can get around that. You can dodge, counter, the same you could with Bloodborne, Elden Ring, or some of the later Dark Souls that didn't focus primarily on parry, counter, hit. Then you win. This is timing down to a T. If you love a game that's going to factor in and really stress your hand-eye coordination about how you hit that, this is a 9 out of 10. I give it a 6 out of 10 because I like my RPGs to be slightly less engaging. I might look at a text during a fight. I might listen to something else through music, but this is a 100% focal game. Your eyes are glued to the screen. Your ears are open, so you listen to everything that's going on here. The concept is great. The combat style might not be for everyone. I do love it. And the music, once it's unlocked. Now, I say that lightly, once it's unlocked, because the first section of the game is in a prison. There's no audio. You have to escape the prison, find a jukebox, and that unlocks the audio for the background. So it kind of gives you that exploration of, let's find audio clips. Let's get our jukebox pumped up so we can keep going through this game. Thank you guys for the journey of coming through this with me. I'll do a little bit more play just so that you get, and I can just showcase what a beautiful game this was from the dev standpoint. We've got hidden chests. We've got a fender swap. What do we got here? Sadly, that's going to be a faster weapon, but it's not going to be as powerful. 41 to 78 out of 82 out of 101. So I'm going to keep that on the back end just because of what it is. And we're always going to pet the dog. So if anybody has a metric on that, where if you can pet the dog or pet the weird creatures, I think I'll give it an 8.5 out of 10 like Bobo says. And I want you guys to have a fantastic day. I want you to go out, enjoy this game, and tell me in the comments what you liked about it, what you didn't like about it. And maybe we can get some engagement on the Discord, because I'm always on the Save the Game Discord, and you could always find me in there on any types of discourse, so that I'm always in there for conversation. Let's have some fun, and let's enjoy this game. Have a great time.